guiding Gaza around diplomatically. But let's move now over to North America, where Federal Appeals Court has lifted an injunction that required the State Department to continue foreign aid payments, granting a victory to US President Donald Trump. The three-judge panel ruled 2-1 that a lower court erred in ordering the administration to restore aid funds previously approved by Congress. Trump had paused all foreign aid for 90 days on this day of his inauguration, taking steps to restructure USAID and place staff on leave. Non-profit groups receiving federal funding sued, claiming the freeze was unlawful. The majority said the groups lack legal standing to challenge the president, and only the Government Accountability Office should bring such a case. Circuit Judge Florence Pan dissented and warned that the ruling undermines the constitutional system of checks and balances. The White House called the decision a win against radical left groups interfering with the president's foreign aid policies. Well, Matti Zweig, a geopolitical expert, once again joining us live from Israel. Matti, thank you for holding on and staying with us here. Checks and balances, a big word that is obviously used a hell of a lot in talk around policy, politics, foreign aid, foreign policy. In your opinion, is this limiting checks and balances, or is this just an acknowledgement of the Trump administration being able to do what they have been given a mandate to do?
Well, checks and balances are part of the courts that they have to say about this. And they have a court, and the court ruled that he can continue with his plan of cutting the foreign aid, and they are not cutting these checks and balances. So, you know, when it's good for you, you say it's interfering in the checks and balances, and when it's not good for you, you cannot say the opposite. Let's see what is really on this situation here. Anyway, by the law, about 83% of all the aid to USAID and the aid for HIV, etc., it has been cut by Marco Rubio, you know, of course, with the agreement of the Trump administration. And it's an ideological thing from one side, and from the other side, a question of scheme, how it's built, how is because an agency can have very good will and very good intentions. The question if it's really doing what he's meant to do, or is a corrupted scheme. Trump administration said they are a corrupted scheme and they must be closed or to adequate to the new times, etc. And that's what they are doing. You can like it or not, but they are trying to do what they said from the beginning, and they are doing this only now because the court was waiting to give also a verdict about this. Two of the judges were, let's say one was like pro-Trump, but it was independent, another one independent, another one was appointed from Joe Biden. So you cannot say that it's not legal. It's legal, and it's possible for them to do all these reforms that they, of course, the voters in 3 years, 3.5 years, that are going to say if they were right or not. You know, this reminds me, in the last year and a half, 2 years, the government of Argentina, because the government of Argentina was doing several things that they were look alike. They were closing very important agency to research cancer, to help women, etc. And after the close of this, the help for these themes with other names, it was much more effective. This is a fact. So if this is going to be the consequence of this closing or diminishing the quantity of budgets, I don't know. But usually you have to look the facts and not only the nice words.
Yes.
If they are not corrupted and they are doing what they have to do, everything is going to be better now.
Matti, before we do move on, let's look at the global impacts here. We know that US funding goes to so many places across the world. Donald Trump is clear on making America great again and putting the American people first. But we can't, of course, dismiss the impact that this will have on areas that are facing famine, civil wars, etc., with such sweeping funding freezes. Is there a risk that this backfires on the US, with another nation, potentially a behemoth financially like China, stepping in to support that aid and potentially then wielding more global influence?
Well, there is no vacuum in anything, not in foreign aid, not in local projects, and not in anything that you pick. I mean, if the Chinese are going to enter with all this aid instead of the US, I don't know. I know they entered very, very strong in all East Africa and in other countries, and they are really very important and rising power in all these countries. If these kind of governmental agencies are going to be changed by private NGOs, that they are going to do the same or even better, we have to look, because you have a lot of them, hundreds of them, from the US, from Europe, even from Latin America, and we have to do what they do on the ground. That's
Yes.
what I mean, because if you take a theme very important, that they were helping in programs to avoid HIV in Malawi or in Rwanda or in Uganda, etc., the question is if this money was going to help the people or not.
Yes,
And we
Matty,
know that
unfortunately, I'm so sorry to interject, but we are unfortunately out of time. I wish we had longer to speak on this topic. Thank